We're back again. This is now take two. Take two. Call this part two, whatever you want to call it, or the comeback. We're back. Regardless, we're back. So don't worry about it. Okay, we're fully back in action. Let's continue from where we left off. We left off talking about Carolina and Houston. So in this game specifically, right, with Carolina and Houston, we'll continue this on now. With Carolina and Houston, again, the ground game was dominant for Houston the entire way. 110 plus for the game for Houston on the ground. Carolina, though, Chuba Hubbard, 15 to 28. No touchdowns. Bryce Young, 4 carries, 11 yards. No touchdowns as well. 44 yards in total for the team. Receiving-wise, Adam Thielen, another decent game. 72 yards to the air, 8 catches. All good. 235 total yards, like we said. Jonathan Mingo also made an appearance, 62 yards on 4 catches. For Houston, Noah Brown was the leading receiver with 57 yards on 3 catches, and Nico Collins right behind him with 30 for 4 on 4 catches. And that's a total 140 yards like we were talking about earlier. Turnovers were pretty much very similar. The top dominant sack guy yesterday was Jonathan Greenard with 2.5 sacks alone. And also Malik Collins should get a shout out too. 2 sacks for him. These 2 guys were all over the place yesterday, dominating left and right. Congrats to them. Big defensive performances from them, despite the fact they lost the game. Continuing now to the Browns and Seahawks. We're going to continue now here. Seahawks up 24-20 here over the Browns. They end up winning by that score. 5-2 is where they are now. Browns are 4-3. This was a tough game, back and forth all the way through. Ugly performances from both offenses, if we're being honest. P.J. Walker, 15 of 31 for 248, a touchdown and 2 interceptions. And for Geno, 23 of 37 for 254, 2 TDs and 2 interceptions. On the ground, it was Kenny Walker with the most rushing yards on the day for both teams, 66 yards on 8 carries. Touchdown go to Jake Bobo in the rushing game. 1 carry for 3 yards, took that in the end zone, the rookie. And on the Cleveland side, Kareem Hunt was the leading carrier. 55 yards on 14 carries for a touchdown. Total of 155 yards on the ground for Cleveland. They were the top rushing team. Seattle, 114 on the ground, thanks to Zach Charbonnet also having 53 yards of his own on 5 carries. And on the receiving end, Cleveland's top receiver was 89 yards, was Amari Cooper, 6 catches, no touchdowns. That title would go to David Njoku, who gets 4 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown. Seattle's receiving, Tyler Lockett, touchdown, and 81 yards on 8 catches. DK Metcalf, 5 catches, 67 yards. Credit also to JSN, who also got a touchdown as well, 36 yards and 3 catches. Overall, again, in the end, it was just really came down to the last few drives. P.J. Walker did not look great towards the end of this one. Seattle got right back in it with a touchdown. That's all it took. They got a touchdown with 38 seconds left. They gave back to Cleveland. Cleveland couldn't do anything with it. And they came back to bite them. So, Seattle ends up winning this one in that fashion. So, a good walk-off win for them, but ugly. A lot of regrouping and conversations to be had. Chiefs-Broncos. We're going to act like this game didn't happen. How does that sound, everybody? Should we act like the game didn't happen? Because I really would love to do that. I want to act like we never saw this game happen. Because this was one of the worst games I think I've ever seen. By Kansas City. The Broncos won. I want you to process that. The Broncos beat the Chiefs in a snowy area because Patrick Mahomes had the flu and was on IVs to be able to hydrate him for the game. I'll never understand it. I'll never understand why they went through with him starting. I will never understand it. I mean it. I won't be able to understand it. 24-9 was the final score. It scored 1 touchdown. Patrick Mahomes, 24-38, 241, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. Bad performance from him. Russell Wilson, 12 of 19, 114, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He did not even throw the ball, honestly. And they got 3 touchdowns. Sacked 6 times. And they still won the game. Javonte Williams, 85 yards on the ground and 27 carries. Jaleel McLaughlin, 4 carries for 33. Russell Wilson himself even, 8 carries for 30. In the end, they had over double the yardage that Kansas City had, 153 yards. Isaiah Pacheco, leading rusher for Kansas City, shaved 40 yards on 8 carries. And in the receiving area, in fact, there were no touchdowns yesterday. There were no touchdowns from the Chiefs. I'm absolutely wrong. None at all. Kansas City's receiving, top receiver was Kelsey as expected, but only 58 yards for him. Rashee Rice with 56 right behind him. Denver's side, Jerry Jeudy with a touchdown and 50 yards on 2 catches. Sutton for 29 yards and a touchdown on 2 catches. And Javonte Williams, a touchdown on 13 yards and 3 catches. The top performers yesterday in terms of like sacks and all that, Karlaftis. Karlaftis for Kansas City had 2.5 sacks. Great for him. For Denver, credit out to Baron Browning with 2 sacks of his own. And for interceptions, there was 1 for Simmons and Jaquan McMillan. Great gains for them as well on the Denver's defensive side. Denver with the big win. They're now 3-5 on the year. Chiefs fall to 6-2 and have opened the door for anybody now to go ahead and grab that number 1 seed. One of those teams actually beat the Cardinals yesterday. That is the Ravens. Now at 6-2, beating the Cardinals 31-24 in what looks like a close game on paper, but it really wasn't. And for this dummy who didn't start Gus Edwards, it was terrible. Gus Edwards had 3 touchdowns yesterday, for those who don't know. If you have him in fantasy, you're probably kicking yourself for not starting him, like me. Lamar, 18-27, 157 and a touchdown, no interceptions. Gus Edwards on the ground, 19 carries, 80 yards, and 3 touchdowns. 3. You heard that right, 3. Receiving-wise, Mark Andrews, Justice Hill tied for the most receiving yards, 40 for each of them. 1 touchdown for Andrews, though. And for Arizona's side, Dobbs, 25-37, 208, 2 TDs, 2 interceptions. On the ground, DeMarcado was the leading rusher, 20 for 78. Touchdown on the ground to Josh Dobbs, 6 carries for 26. Arizona's receiving, though. Trey McBride, the tight end, 10 catches for 95 yards. He's having himself a quietly good season in his, I believe this is his rookie year, too, as a rookie. Nope, this is his 2nd year in the league. 2nd year in the league, and he is having a very good year, quietly. 10 catches, 95 yards, and a touchdown. Marquise Brown also had a touchdown of his own, 6 catches of 33. Defensively, anything basically notable to put out? Well, I got 1. Dante Stills with 1.5 sacks yesterday for Arizona. Good game for him. In terms of interceptions, 2 yesterday for Baltimore, 1 for Brandon Stevens, and 1 by Geno Stone. So they did really good defensively, kind of held them down a little bit for most of the game. The problem is the offense really the defense shouldn't allow 24 points to the Cardinals, but things happen. Cardinals are now 1-7 on the season. Bengals and 49ers. I'll never understand why people pick the 49ers to win this game. They are in a bad slump. I picked Cincinnati, and Cincinnati ended up winning this one pretty easily. So Cincinnati wins this one 31-17 over the Niners in San Fran. Niners are in complete free fall mode and falling to 5-3. Bengals continue to rise. They're now 4-3. The Niners once again are now behind the Seahawks in the division. They got to get right real quick because things are going wrong, going south fast. Joe Burrow, 28 of 32, 283, 3 touchdowns, no interception. That is an insane stat line. Missed 4 passes on 32 attempts. Unbelievable. Brock Purdy, 22 of 31, 365, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Those 2 interceptions came back to bite them real hard. On the ground, Cincinnati's ground game was good. Mixon, 87 yards on 16 carries and a touchdown. Good game from him. Burrow even had 43 on the ground. 134 total for this team. San Fran, Brock Purdy, leading rusher somehow. 6 carries for 57 yards, no touchdowns. The fact he's the leading carrier is kind of sad. Christian McCaffrey right behind him with 12 carries, 54, and a touchdown. 113 by the team total. Cincinnati's receiving, Jamar Chase, 100 yards on 10 catches and a touchdown. Other guys who got a touchdown include Andre Yoshivas, which is a rookie from Princeton who I had scouted prior. And during the draft time, I felt he was going to be a steal for anybody who gets him undrafted. They got him. He's been playing off dividends for them. 1 catch, 2 yards, touchdown. Tyler Boyd also had a touchdown of his own, 3 catches for 40 yards. And on San Fran's side, 149 yards on 9 catches for Kittle. Have a day, sir. And Brandon Ayuk with 109 yards on 5 catches. Christian McCaffrey, 1 touchdown, 64 yards, 6 receptions. The only passing touchdown of the game. And in terms of sacks and everything, let's go through it, see if anybody got a big sack day. Yes, Arik Armstead for San Fran had 2 sacks on the day. Have a day, sir. And in terms of interceptions, Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt had the 2 picks for Cincinnati. But yeah, all around, they just are in complete free fall mode and struggling. And on Sunday Night Football last night, the Bears and the Chargers. Bears were expected to kind of give a good fight here with Badgett. Not the case. It proved that he wasn't that as good as people thought. He is not that guy, pal. Trust me, not that guy. Chargers won this one 30-13. Bears fall to 2-6. Chargers are 3-4. Badgett, 25-37, 232, no TDs, 2 interceptions, 1 sack. He just did not have a good game. Just plain and simple. But a lot of drops. There were a lot of drops from the Bears. I will give them credit. The receivers dropped a good amount of passes. Compare that to Herbert, though, who was 31-40, 298, 3 TDs, no interceptions. Great game from him. That's what was needed. On the ground, neither team really got anything going on the ground yesterday. Deontay Foreman with 34 yards on the ground. Team as a total had 73. 2 rushing touchdowns, though. 1 for Tyson Bagent with 1. And Darrington Evans as well with 1. And for LA, it was Eckler who was the leading rusher with 29 yards on 15 carries. It's kind of embarrassing. But in the end, 54 yards total as a unit. Receiving-wise, in terms of yardage, leading receiver for the Bears was Cole Kmet, tight end, 10 receptions, 79 yards. No receiving touchdowns for anybody else. Also, we're going to note DJ Moore at 55 yards and Darnell Mooney with 41 yards, but that was on 1 catch, which was the one that opened the game. LA's receiving. Eckler was the leading receiver of the running backs. 94 yards in the air, 7 catches, 1 touchdown. Credit to Keenan Allen as well with 69 yards and Johnston for 50, but the other touchdowns went to Donald Parham Jr., 43 and a touchdown, and Simi Fehoko with 9 yards on 1 catch, which resulted in a touchdown. Let's go look at sacks real quick, see who got the most sacks. Did anybody notable yesterday? No, nobody notable. And in terms of interceptions, 2 by the Chargers were by Josser Taylor, and Derwin James Jr. So, again, collectively, a bad game from the Bears, and what can you expect? And that will do it right there for the NFL Week 8 review. A Chargers win and a Cincy win. With that, so far, our record is now at, with that 1-0, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have 11 wins so far in the week. If we win tonight with Detroit and Vegas, that'll make it 12. The amount of losses we have this week are 1, 2. We have 4 losses this week. So with a win tonight by Detroit, we'll be at 12-4 on the week, which will be great. I really mean that. It'll be great. We need that big time. Big time. So we'll see if we can come through with that and get a big win here and really grow this thing up and, keep this trend going in a positive direction. We had a bad week last week. We'll see if we can get that going again. Now, let's continue here. Now that we got the NFL stuff out of the way for the most part, let's talk about college. Yeah, you're right, Armand. It was definitely ugly. The Giants and Jets definitely said, hold our beer. I didn't even know you were in the chat. I'm sorry, man. In case you guys don't know, I operate everything through a laptop, so I don't even have a dual monitor. So I can't even, if I'm looking through a window and reading stats and stat lines, I can't see what chat says. Not until I come back. So I'm doing my best to kind of do both because I don't really have a PC system. Everything I'm doing is running through a gaming laptop. So this is what I'm using. But yeah, that Jets and Giants game was so ugly yesterday. It was pretty bad. It was really rough, honestly. I don't know if I can go through that again. I don't know if I can go through that game again. And I was stuck watching it at work, so that just doesn't help either. But that's where we're at with that one. Let's go over and talk about college football real quick. Some big, big upsets. And what I mean by go over what happened in the Week 9 storylines, I mean we'll go over the rankings. We'll do rankings. That's what I meant. We'll go over the rankings at the moment because there were some big changes. But let's talk about some of the big upsets. Oklahoma was the biggest one of the week. Biggest one by far. They lost to Kansas, as I had told you guys to keep an eye on that game, and there was a reason for it. They got upset and beaten by Kansas. They lost that one 38-33. They now fall to number 10 in the country. And Kansas has risen back into the rankings at number 22. And for Oklahoma, they have now fallen down to 10 from originally being at number 6. This has now opened the door for Oregon to go up to number 6. And for Alabama and Penn State to leapfrog over them to 8 and 9. Now, another team who took a loss and went down was Oregon State. They are pretty much done now thanks to the loss that they just had this weekend to Arizona, who I warned you guys would possibly be a team to watch because they have upset teams before. In fact, the last team they knocked out was Washington State and ruined their hopes. So now they have ruined the hopes of Oregon State. So now both teams in the Pac-12 have been spoiled by Arizona. Unbelievable. Also, Utah as well fell down. They got blown out by Oregon, 35-6. Oregon goes up to number 6. Utah falls to 18, and they're done. Their college football playoff hopes are dead. But a couple teams that did rise in and make an appearance now in the top 25. Kansas State has now shown up after a blowout dominating win over Houston, 41-0. They're 6-2 on the season. USC is staying put at 24 after beating Cal, the Golden Bears, by 1 point. Don't even get me started. James Madison has risen up to 23 after beating Old Dominion 30-27. They're 23 in the country now. Tulane, after beating Rice 30-28, is now number 21. UCLA beating Colorado 28-16 puts them at 6-2 and now number 20 in the country, rising up 3 spots. And Kentucky losing to Tennessee helped the Vols get into the top 20 at number 19. Shout out also to Air Force, who made it up there now after beating Colorado State 30-13. They're now number 17 in the nation. Who would have thought that was coming? Louisville up 3 spots after beating Duke 23-0. I told you guys it was another big game. A lot at stake. Actually, Louisville win this one 23-0. Very shocking. Very shocking victory. And who knew? Even in a bye week, LSU and Missouri found a way to benefit. They both go up 2 spots. LSU and Missouri now 13 and 14 respectively. Notre Dame and Ole Miss also moved up 2 spots for Notre Dame up to 12. Ole Miss up 1 spot to 11. Now sitting outside looking in to see if they can get back into this, receiving their votes, Oklahoma State, North Carolina, Liberty, Fresno State, Miami, Arizona, Toledo, and now Rutgers is starting to get some votes. Well, we're going to see how serious that is for Rutgers because they've got Ohio State this Saturday on CBS here in Jersey. So it's going to be a little rough, honestly. And Georgia's got another tough competition. They got Mizzou on Saturday in Georgia in Sanford Stadium. So again, we will see. This is just going to be an interesting week ahead. We'll save this all for Friday. We'll go through a whole deep dive on this for the night show. When we do it on Friday night, we'll go through the whole thing, give you guys a full slate and the updates, and go over things and as we go. So don't worry about that. We'll be on top of it. Promise you guys. But that's essentially the big storylines. Also, the growing storyline is continuing now with Michigan. Keep an eye on it. That it's getting more and more shadier by the day with what's going on with their sign stealing and footage stuff coming out a little bit at a time. I would 100% keep an eye on it, big time. It can go very wrong very quickly. Because next thing you know, you could see a man never be able to go back to the NFL, 1. And 2, we got some big news. I'm going to cut that off real short, real quick. We have a signing in the NFL, real quick. The Buffalo Bills have signed Leonard Fournette to their practice squad. They're giving him a chance to ramp up, so he's going to be going to Buffalo, staying on their practice squad with an opportunity to rise up. So he's going to be on their team now moving forward. Again, being on practice squad, anybody could pick you up. So just know that. Anybody could sign you on the practice squad and bring you their team to an active roster. So they're just going to use it to ramp him up, get him up to speed, and see what he looks like when they get him fully in shape and ready to go. That's all it is, because they need assistance out there. Because, James Cook ain't cutting it for them. They need more. But that's it for the college topics. I don't really have anything else I can give you about that. Now, I am going to go over a couple rumors I've heard with the trade deadline so far, as it's showing up tomorrow on Halloween. A lot of stuff could happen. A lot could happen. It's either going to be and I'm going to tell you from what I've heard, it is either going to be a very quiet deadline or a very active deadline. And if it's a very active deadline, I don't think anybody wants that. I don't think anybody wants that at all. Nope, I don't think so. So we're going to roll here with that, with some trade deadline rumors. So obviously the big team we've been watching is Washington. Montez Sweat has been rumored that there's a deal in place and that they're waiting to see how they did this weekend to determine if they were going to pull the trigger on the trade as well as get the final pieces together in this meantime. Supposedly they have one in place, but I don't know how true that is. Again, these are all rumors. Remember that. This is all rumors. None of it is confirmed factual. This is just what has been heard around the league. Nothing that's been set in stone. Nothing that's been confirmed. So Montez Sweat. As for Chase Young, no update on him. I don't know if they're going to continue to shop him. From what I know, if Montez Sweat's get more attention, that would mean that Chase Young is staying behind. In terms of the other guys, I'll tell you guys right now. Let's see some names. DeAndre Hopkins, he's staying put in Tennessee. So is Derrick Henry. Don't get your hopes up. Both of them are staying put. They will not be leaving Tennessee. Now that they saw what they did with Will Levis, I'm pretty sure they're going to keep him around and try to fight that way. Let's see some other guys. Let's go through some in our head. Nothing from Mike Evans. Don't expect Mike Evans to be moved by Tampa. They're going to hold on to him. They made a commitment to make sure he plays the full season for them, so he will finish the season with the team. Do not expect a trade there. Let's see. Anybody else? I think there were a few more I've heard speculations of. Let me just confirm those before I go anywhere further with it. I don't want to give you guys the wrong information. So let me just make sure I've got the full information correctly here. Let's go use my big source name. Let's see if he's got anything major for you guys. I'm trying to make sure that I don't miss anything. Yeah, so apparently what the report has been is that the Titans have been asking for a second-round pick for Derrick Henry initially. But no team has come even close to that offer, and they won't. And because of that, that's why they won't pull the trigger on moving Henry. They're just going to hold on to him. That is the big story. So I wouldn't want to do that, honestly. We're going to add in here a few more. Let's see what else we've got. Come on. Where are you? There's definitely some more rumors here. I've heard that the Eagles are not done yet. They're going to continue shopping as well. They're looking into some options on the defensive side to continue growing the defense more and more. They need more defensive help. What else? Keep an eye on anything with Kyler Murray. Apparently, he grew up a huge Minnesota Vikings fan, and with the loss to Kirk Cousins, they could be in a QB market. So a big blockbuster trade for Kyler Murray could be in the works since he's coming back from injury right now. Des Bryant even suggested that the Titans should trade Tannehill to the Vikings and get a return on that and believe in Will Levis. I've thought about that, but I don't think so. I'm not 100%. 100%. I'm not like 100% on that. Oh, that's what I'll say. I'm not 100% on the idea of selling off Tannehill because Levis looked good in one game. We got to see more out of him. That's what I've heard. You got to see more. I'm going to see if there's any other speculations and rumors. I know there was definitely more, but I'm just digging around trying to find it. I heard something involving probably the... Oh, here's another one. Adrian Peterson would like to return to the league. Likelihood at 38 years old that happens is slim. There is more interest right now for trades with the Jets involving Michael Carter than Dalvin Cook. More people are willing to trade for Michael Carter due to his youth ability, is my guess, than trading for somebody like Dalvin Cook. Because Dalvin Cook's age, maybe his effectiveness, it's not like somebody you can put in there and expect to get 4 good years out of him. You're maybe expecting 1 or 2 prime years left, and that's it. And that's why people felt the same way of not giving too much for Henry. I think they don't want to give too much because they don't think they're going to keep him around long because he's going to want a big contract, and they can't afford that after this season. That's why I'm saying he's meant for a team that really wants to compete and win. So as I go through this, I'm still looking for more information that I could find on any supposed trade rumors. I would expect the Vikings to get involved somewhere. Also, Brian Burns has also been having odds grow for where his next team will be. So far, according to BetOnline, the expectation is that the most favored team is the Ravens, followed by the Bears and Rams. And then also be mentioned are the Seahawks, Steelers, Eagles, and Jaguars for where he'll end up on defense. So that's the teams that have been looking at him. So I want to add that in there as well. I'm also going to say this. Let's see. Well, I'm not going to say it. Let's keep looking. I'm still looking for more stuff that I could get you guys as quick as possible. It's hard. I usually keep track of this stuff, but my list was deleted, so I can't really give you anything. There you go. The Raiders. Hunter Renfrow is 100% a shop target for teams right now because right now the Raiders don't use him. So the hope is they'll get a good offer for him and they could use him for some good stuff and, he could get a real opportunity with somebody else. That would be the expectation. Let's see if there's anything else. Anything else major? I'm still digging. Can I find it? The Eagles have been really interested in the Pro Bowl corner Kenny Moore from the Colts. They really, really like him. They want him as a Pro Bowl corner. And the Cardinals have been taking calls on Hollywood Brown, so he is available for trade. Well, doesn't mean he's available for trade, but they have had conversation with teams involving Marquise Brown. It doesn't mean that he's going to get traded, but it means they've had the conversation, which means there is a possibility he could get traded and moved. Because you got to remember, the Cardinals are not in a place where they're here to win. They're in a rebuild mode. No matter how they want to market it, they're in a rebuild mode. And because of that, Brown's a free agent after this year. He's going to want something more than $18 million a year to be a receiver starting somewhere. And the Cardinals don't want to pay that, so they'll be more willing to trade him now and get that done. So just keep an eye on that too. Now, Chase Young also, like I said, has been getting more and more attention, but I think it's dying now that Montez Sweat's picking up traction a bit. But some teams, in the event he does get traded, would be like the Bears with the highest odds, but you also got the Lions, Niners, and Eagles, the Ravens at 5. Also consider there the Patriots, Steelers, and Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are more of a bigger stretch than anybody else, but that's just something to keep an eye on. And that's what I've got so far for whatever developments there is right now for trade deadline rumors. It doesn't mean they're happening. It's just speculation that's been growing around the league. Just a full recap of all that madness. And that brings us into the Monday Night Football predictions so we can get out of football together. This is the big one. Las Vegas, Detroit. Let's talk about it. So tonight, the Las Vegas Raiders will be taking on Detroit in Ford Field. It's going to be... This should be a Detroit win. If I'm going to just give you the answer straight up, it's going to be a win. But I don't feel like it's just right to just tell you guys they're just going to win. So I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on the game, like how it's going to take for each team to win, how they could lose it, just very much what it'll take. Well, both teams are coming off bad losses. That's the first thing to get out of the way. Detroit's coming off a bad loss to Baltimore, 38-6. They got blown out in Baltimore. It was embarrassing. And then the Raiders with Brian Hoyer got crushed by the Bears, who were led by Tyson Bagent. And you cannot have that happen. So now their self-esteem is out the window. Their credibility is out the window. 3 and 4 Raiders are trying to stay afloat. The Lions are 5 and 2 and are trying to prove that they're still a tough team. It's going to take a strong game from the Lions offense to prove that. So in a quick game preview, let's talk about it a bit, okay? So the Detroit had their 4-game winning streak snapped by Baltimore last week. They lost by 32. It was embarrassing, and Vegas was on a good trend, too. They were on a 2-game win streak, and then they just got crushed by Chicago because of the injury to Jimmy G. And they went with Hoyer. Hoyer played terribly. They lost the game. The Lions were tied originally for the league's best record before they finally took that loss to the Ravens. But Jared Goff is still saying that this little setback that they had losing to the Ravens, it wasn't just a dramatic statement about the state of the team. It wasn't that. It's just a roller coaster outside of the building. But, for every team in the league, it's no different. When you have a tough loss, it's considered a step back. And all you have to do is find a way how you step back forward. And that's how Goff is looking at it, Now, the Raiders could get a boost this week with the return of Garoppolo, and in case you guys don't know, Jimmy G was sidelined last week and for the second half of the prior game with a back injury where he had to go be hospitalized for and be checked out. And the problem has just been with the Raiders this season, they just have no offense at all. And this is what I mean. They have not been able to get over 20 points in 7 of their past 8 games. And that dates back to last season. That's a big problem. You can't have that. You want to win a football game, you got to crack that. You got to crack the 20-point limit. It shows a good team can score like that. And they're not doing that. And the only reason they were able to surpass it 2 weeks ago against the Patriots was because of a safety against Mac Jones late in the game that won the game for them at 21-17. So if that safety doesn't happen, it's 19 points. They still win, but they don't hit 20. And I think it's summed up best really by Devontae Adams, who had a quote really saying, football isn't about how good you are, it's about how good you play. And they just have not been playing well in offense. They just haven't been executing. The offensively challenged team, known as the Raiders, have ranked 30th in scoring and averaged just 16 points per game. And the Raiders are also, outside of that scoring category, 27th in total offense and last in rushing with only 68.6 yards per game. And that's despite having all-pro running back Josh Jacobs, who was just not playing well, even though he was last year's rushing champion, the leading rusher in the league. That is the worst part of this all. The regression by Josh Jacobs has been astronomical, and it has severely affected the Raiders. Big time. Now, here's the thing and now we're going to flip it to the Lions. So now you understand what the big issue is with the Raiders. It's their offense. Their offense has killed them time and time again. They finally have a somewhat average defense, and their offense is just completely crap. It's not good. But now you go look at the Lions, right? They leaned on Jared Goff over the 16-game stretch they've had dating back to last season. And, it's paid off to this point. They were 13-3 in that span. He had a lot to do with them going 13-3, though, to close last year strong, and have now picked up where they left off in 2023. And, people like McDaniels, the head coach of the Raiders, they do recognize it. He said he matured. You see his efficiency go up. His decision-making is really good. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes with the ball. He's aggressive when he should be, and he's really smart and protects the ball if something's not there. That's what it is with McDaniels. That's how McDaniels sees it. But Goff didn't throw a touchdown pass for the first time this season in the loss that they had last week. And on top of that, he had an interception with 2 fumbles. I think that speaks more to Baltimore's defense than anything else. But it is still a little concerning that Detroit was held to only 6 points by the same Ravens defense. And that brought its team record streak of scoring 20-plus points in a halt in 15 games. They had 15 consecutive games with 20-plus points of scoring in a game. And 15 consecutive. They didn't do that last week. Now they have to bring it back this week. And Goff said it best. We know what we're made of, but we have to respond the right way. That's what he said. So in the end, in summary, in terms of bad streaks that they've had the last week, something's got to give. And in the end, the big plays may prove to be pivotal because the Lions have gained 20-plus yards 36 times and scored on 9 of the plays, which ranks second in the NFL in both categories. And the Raiders have allowed an NFL low 10 passes of at least 20 yards. So their defense has been good at preventing the big plays. But something's got to give. Are the Raiders going to finally break and allow big plays to happen to Detroit, or are Detroit going to get smothered and have to play small ball, not small ball, but like short ball? I mean, just, short routes, short little screens, tiny little crossing routes. Is that what's going to take to really beat the Raiders? That's the question. And on top of that, the more concerning part for the Lions dealing with the Raiders is Max Crosby. Because he has at least half a sack in 5 straight games. There we go. I'm good. Sorry about that, everybody. Max Crosby has at least half a sack in 5 straight games. And that's a team high 6.5 he's had this season. And also league high in quarterback hurries at 34. He also had a career high 12.5 sacks last season and 44 since the Raiders drafted him back in 4 years ago in the 4th round. From Eastern Michigan, by the way. So he's going back to his hometown. Campbell had all the praise for him, Dan Campbell from the Lions. He said, he's slithery. He can bend. He's explosive. Got a good first step. He's very crafty. And Hutchinson, not much different, honestly. Had a team high 4.5 sacks and ranked second in the NFL with 33 quarterback hurries, right behind Max Crosby. So Detroit's got their own little guy growing up over there in Aiden Hutchinson. And from McDaniels, he said about Hutchinson, he's got an incredible motor, got great effort. And if you ever stop playing before the play's over, he's going to make a lot of plays. So that just translates to make sure you finish the plays, finish the drives. Don't give them an inch at all. They'll capitalize on you. And that brings you now to primetime players. The Raiders were a very popular pick for primetime games this year. And they will be in one of the NFL standalone games once again for the 3rd time this year and are now scheduled still for 2 more. Detroit, in the meantime, is hosting a Monday night game for the first time since, I think it was 2018. And that's when the New York Jets had beat them. I don't even remember the score. But that was back when Matt Patricia was still the coach, and Detroit was still not a good team, and the Jets were not a good team either, but they were okay, I guess. And they just went in and just beat them. I remember it was a beating, though. I remember it was just complete smothering, and they got crushed. And that was I don't remember if that was Patricia's debut or if that was just in his tenure. I know it was in his first season for sure. I don't know if it was like his debut game or something. But again, that's the situation of the game. That's your preview. The Raiders and Lions, 8:15 Eastern on ABC, ESPN. Detroit favored by 7 in this one. That's the spread, 7. I'm taking Detroit on this. I think I don't know if they cover, but I'm definitely taking them. And the over-under is 46. And if what they're saying is true, I don't think it goes over 46. I would say under. So I'm thinking the final score of this one will probably be something like 20. We'll say 24-18. I'm going to say 24-18. That's 42 points total. So it'll be under the 46, and the Lions would still cover. 24-18, right? Yeah. No, wouldn't cover. 24-18, the Lions would not cover in that sense. They'd lose by a point in that one, so you'd have to pick the Raiders plus 7. But I don't know if I would do that either. I'm not big on the spread. I'm big on the over-under. I think it's an under 46 today, so if you guys are going to bet that. In terms of player props, I don't know what to tell you guys. I really have no idea. MRI just confirmed now as well. Kirk Cousins tore his right Achilles. 2023 season is over. They're going to need a new quarterback. They're going to have to go hunting, which is going to be very interesting. I don't know. I'm unsure, if I'm being honest with all of you. We have another update for the little trade deadline stuff to keep an eye on. The Browns have been making calls around the league to check in on the availability of various edge players. One team they called was the Dolphins, where they checked on Emmanuel Ogbah. And Ogbah used to play in Cleveland, where he started his career before he went to Miami. So it'd be interesting to see if he goes for the reunion. I mean, again, I didn't think it happened. So that's what happened. But again, in the end, the most important thing is Kirk is confirmed. Torn Achilles. He's done for the year. And so we'll close out the football topic again. Football. Monday Night Football, Lions, Raiders. I got Lions winning 24-18. If you're going to bet the under on it. I don't know who got the odds on this one, Caesars. I don't know what any of it is. But again, Detroit should win this game. If they don't win the game, I don't even know what to say. I don't know. I'm going to be at a loss for words. But let's go over some NBA action. Close it out with some NBA talk, right? So I do have all the games listed below here, as you guys can see, on the ticker. And on the ticker, everything is lined out with all the games. There is a little bit of a cutoff on one, which I'm very disappointed in because I'm trying my best to really make this thing work. But I guess it doesn't take the full information that you want to put in. And it just cuts it off because there's not enough. I guess it's an overflow of information, so they can't do it all. So you're going to see it come up probably on the way around here. But I'm going to try my best to give you guys all the information with that. Yeah, right here. Right when you get to the Anaheim game, it cuts off and it goes to NFL. Right, it goes right to the NFL after that. It just goes right back to the top, which I'm not okay with. But again, I can't control it. We'll just continue going with it, though. Back to the NBA, though, like we were saying, the scores from this weekend. Let's talk about some big moments, big plays since Friday. Since Friday, the Pistons. Let's start with a few teams that have made some progress. On Friday, Pistons played the Hornets. Pistons beat them 111-99. Nuggets played the Grizzlies. Nuggets beat them 108-104. Knicks played the Hawks. Knicks beat them 126-120. Heat played the Celtics. Celtics beat them 119-111. Thunder played the Cavs. Thunder won 108-105. Bulls played the Raptors. That went to OT, but the Bulls got out of that with the 104-103 victory. But the most important story in that one, triple-double for Scotty Barnes. 22 points, 10 and 10. Good news for him. Keep going. Rockets and Spurs, that went to OT as well. Spurs with the win, 126-122. Webb and Yama, 21, 12, and 3. And that 3 is steals. Nets, Mavericks. Mavericks ended up winning that one, 125-120. Luka Doncic, 49 points, 10 rebounds, double-double for him. Cam Thomas leading scorer again for Brooklyn, 30 and 7. Jazz beat the Clippers 120-118. And top scorers, Paul George and Markkanen, 36 and 35. Magic and Blazers. Magic win 102-97. Mo Wagner with a 17. 17 and 9. Wow. DeAndre Ayton was the other top performer with 14 and 15, which is kind of crazy. And then Warriors and Kings. Warriors beat the Kings 122-114. De'Aaron Fox with 39. Curry with 41. So obviously you guys can tell, very eventful for Friday. Saturday, though, let's talk about some other games. Knicks played again. They lost to the Pelicans, 96-87. Top performer for the Knicks was Mitchell Robinson, 8 points, 15 rebounds. It's kind of sad. But for the New Orleans Pelicans, 26 points and 7 rebounds for Brandon Ingram. Grizzlies, Wizards. Wizards get the win. The Grizzlies still looking for their first win of the season. They have not been able to secure that yet. You know what? That's how we're going to do it. Let's go to the standings and take a look, right? Let's take a look. So far, we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 teams who are yet to have lost a basketball game yet. That is the Orlando Magic, the Pacers from Indiana, another one that's just like head scratcher. The Celtics are the other one for the East. In the West, it's the Nuggets at 3-0, Pelicans at 2-0, and the Mavericks at 2-0. Everybody else either has a loss at this point. Everybody else has a loss. And in terms of winless teams, you've got 4. 1 in the East and 3 in the West. In the East, the Nets are 0-2. In the West, the Rockets, Blazers, and Grizzlies are still looking for their first win. They're 0-3. Which is kind of interesting, honestly, when you think about it. Now, I am going to bring up something else here. So let's talk about some of the games in today's windows. I mean, you guys already see today's NBA games. If you're talking about things that just happened recently, I mean, in the past few days, I'm going to the scores now to get you guys like a full update on that. Today's Monday, so they're going to have a full slate. Take a look at Sunday's games. Hawks beat the Bucks 127-110. Giannis 26 points, 11 rebounds. Back to Saturday, though. I got to go back to Saturday. I'm going like off track. My brain's all over the place. Pacers beat the Cavs 125-113 on Saturday. Mobley, 33 points, 14 rebounds, and 3 blocks. Kind of crazy. Halliburton was 2 rebounds away from a triple-double, but they won this one. He had 21, 8, and 13. 76ers beat the Raptors. Embiid with 34, 9, and 8. Scotty Barnes, 24, and 8. Heat and Timberwolves. Wolves got their first win of the year. Naz Reid with 25 and 8. Hero with 22. And then the Jazz and Suns closed out the window in the late games. It was the Suns with the victory on this one. Pretty not close at all. Durant with 26 and 7. Markkanen with 19. And that brings us to the Sunday slate from yesterday's games. 127-110 victory, already talked about with Hawks and Bucks. Trae Young also had 20 and 11. Nuggets and Thunder, 128-95. Another blowout win. Jokic, 28 and 14. The top scorer was Jalen Williams with an E, 13 points. Warriors-Rockets, 106-95 win in favor of the Warriors. Steph with 24, 7, and 6. Sengun was the leading scorer, it looks like, for the Rockets with 19 and 7. For the Blazers and the Sixers, Blazers, as you guys know, haven't got a win yet, which means they lost this one. Sixers won this one, no competition. 35, 15, and 7 for Embiid, 18 for Brogdon. Spurs and Clippers. Clippers completely crushed them by 40 points. Cedi Osman was the leading scorer for San Antonio with 12. Paul George, the leading scorer for the Clippers with 19. And 5 steals, by the way. 5 steals. I'm wrong also. Osman was not the leading scorer. Leading scorer was Vassell. Devin Vassell was the leading scorer. And the leading scorer for the Clippers was Kawhi Leonard with 21. But you also had 16 for Zubats, 19 for Westbrook, 19 for George, 18 for Bones Highland. Just a really good unit. I keep telling people, when we were talking about the preview for the season, I told you guys Bucks Clippers was the one to watch, 100%. Because the Clippers are just a really, really sneaky squad. And the other game that happened yesterday that we can close it out with officially is an overtime thriller where the Kings were able to beat the Lakers 132-127. Fox was injured in this victory. He won the game, though, for them. 37 points, 8 assists. Davis with 30 points, 16 rebounds, and 3 blocks. Now let's go. I'll give you guys an update on his injury status now before we go into anything else. I just read a report about it. I'm going back to Twitter. They had a report out about his injury. I don't know how good or bad it was, but I'm going to give you guys a full fill on it. Let me go take a look real quick. What is the report? I have it here somewhere. I got to go find it. It's here. I think I read that it was something involving they said it was a leg injury. Oh, okay. We have an update for baseball. John Gray's going to start Game 4 for the Rangers, and the Arizona Diamondbacks will go with the bullpen game. Well, that's fascinating. We'll talk about that tomorrow. So we'll go into detail on that plan tomorrow. Now let's go in and let's go find this De'Aaron Fox thing I just found earlier. De'Aaron Fox. Let's see. There you go. Kings All-Star De'Aaron Fox has avoided significant injury but has sustained a moderate sprain of his right ankle, and he's likely to miss some time, sources tell Shams Charania and Sam Amick. Fox played through the sprain down the stretch with 37 points in victory over the Lakers on Sunday. So now he's going to miss some time, but he had himself a monster performance. Thank goodness it wasn't anything worse, but he basically sacrificed his ankle to stop the Lakers, which is, always respected and appreciated. Always appreciated. Now, that's the update from that, but we're going back again to the scores. So tonight, these are your games to watch, because before we leave off here, you guys need to understand what the games look like. So here's your full breakdown. If you guys are going to do any betting, this is what you got. Tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern, Nets, Hornets. You guys already saw the games on the bottom where you could watch those games. They're all listed here. If anything, I'll tell you guys through the ticker system, and I'll read it to you guys and just tell you what it says. Now, the abbreviations I know you guys may or may not know, so I'm just going to read them out so you guys get a better understanding of it. Okay. Boston and Washington is the first one we're talking about. That one's going to be 7 o'clock Eastern on Monument or NBC Sports Boston. These are the local networks. Anything you guys want to watch, I can give you a site, but it's not the most reliable site. It can be consistent at times. It's also technically a pirating site, and I don't want to give you guys that site because, I want to keep that on my chest. Close to the chest. But Boston and Washington. Boston 2-0 on the year. Washington 1-1. Washington looking to play spoiler here. Good game to watch there. Chicago and Indianapolis. Chicago 1-2. Indy is 2-0. 7 o'clock Eastern on Bally Sports Indiana and NBC Sports Chicago. Again, local networks. You also have NBA League Pass. You could watch that as well. I'm sure also if they do anything, you might be able to watch it on the Max app. I have no idea. I think you might be able to. Brooklyn, 0-2, looking for their first one of the year against Charlotte, who's 1-1. 7 o'clock Eastern on Bally Sports Southeast Charlotte. Or the Yes Network, if you're in the New York area. Portland and Toronto. Portland 0-3, Toronto 1-2. 7:30 Eastern on TSN or Root Plus. Again, everything can be accessed if you have NBA League Pass or if you know some good sites where you can legally watch it all. Minnesota and Atlanta. 1-1 for Minnesota, 1-2 for Atlanta. I'm not even going to talk about what Minnesota did on Twitter. I'm still pissed off about it. It disgusted me. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Bally Sports Southeast Atlanta and Bally Sports North. Detroit, 2-1 against the 2-1 OKC Thunder. 8 p.m. Eastern on Bally Sports Oklahoma or Bally Sports Detroit Extra. Golden State Warriors, 1-2 against the 2-0 New Orleans Pelicans. That is 8 o'clock Eastern, Bally Sports New Orleans or NBC Sports Bay Area. Miami at 1-2 against Milwaukee, who's 1-1 at 8 o'clock Eastern on Bally Sports Wisconsin or Bally Sports Sun. Dallas at 2-0 going up against the winless Memphis Grizzlies. 8 p.m. Eastern, Bally Sports Southeast Memphis and Bally Sports Southwest Dallas. Utah 1-2 against 3-0 Denver. 9 p.m. Eastern on Altitude Network or the KJZZ for the Jazz. And finally, Orlando at 2-0 up against the Lakers, who are 1-2. 10:30 Eastern on Bally Sports Florida or Spectrum Sportsnet. Or it'll also be on national TV on NBA TV. You could watch that one. And also, because you guys don't see any NHL stuff, I'll give that to you right now. Florida taking on Boston. 4-3-0 versus 7-0-1. 7 p.m. Eastern on NES Center, Bally Sports Florida. Carolina Hurricanes against Philly, the Flyers. 5-4-0 versus 4-3-1. 7 p.m. Eastern on NBC Sports Philly and Bally Sports South. Anaheim, 4-4-0 against Pittsburgh, who's 3-5-0. 7 p.m. Eastern on Bally Sports South Carolina. That's what it looks like. No, my fault. Not South Carolina. Bally Sports Southern California. Also Bally Sports San Diego and Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Seattle 2-5-2 and Tampa Bay Lightning at 4-2-2. 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Bally Sports Sun and Route Northwest. Detroit 4-2-1 and the Islanders at 5-3-1. 7:30 Eastern on Bally Sports Detroit or MSG Sports Network. New York Rangers 6-2-0 against the Winnipeg Jets 4-3-1. 7:30 Eastern on MSG. Don't see anything for Winnipeg, so that's where we're going with. The Columbus Blue Jackets at 3-3-2 against the Dallas Stars at 4-1-1. 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Bally Sports Southwest Extra. Bally Sports it's also on Bally Sports Ohio. So keep an eye out for that as well. Chicago and Arizona 3-5 versus 3-4. 10 p.m. Eastern. NBC Sports Chicago Plus and Shrips. And finally, the last game of the window for the hockey. Montreal, Vegas. 5-2-1 versus 8-0-1. 10 p.m. Eastern on Scripps. And we'll close out with some baseball, because I told you guys about some baseball today. Big baseball games. Here's what we got. Texas, Arizona. Game 3 tonight. 8:03 Eastern on Fox. Series tied at 1-1. We told you the pitching matchup already. Brandon Pfaadt taking the mound for the Diamondbacks, and Scherzer taking the mound for Texas. So make the most of that, everybody. So those are all your games. That's where you can watch them. Track up all the information there. That's what you need for today's games. But that's going to do it for us here at the Brian Mansell Show. Once again, thank you guys so much for sticking through with us. I know we had some tech issues, but it was honestly so great to be able to do the show this morning. Hope to do more of this in the future. We're going to keep doing this every weekday morning if we can. Like I said, we likely will not have a show on Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow morning. And we'll have one on Friday night, and we'll have one on Wednesday morning. So Tuesday and Wednesday, morning shows. Thursday, no show. Friday, night show. That's what the order looks like for this week. But again, thank you all for tuning in. And enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning. And before I go, make sure you enjoy your NBA action, your NHL action, your World Series, and your Monday Night Football. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Why'd I always do this to myself? Let all of these words come out my mouth. You could have been my life, walking down in white, but I let you down. Too late to turn back now, and what I said to you, I'm full of lies. So don't wake up, you can't bear goodbyes, no, no. I'm scared of going under when you piece it all together. Impossible to watch you frown, so I'll go down. Yeah, I'm done deceiving with my life, 'cause I can't forget those tears you cried to me. You cried to me. Guess you made me feel and I hate it. Admit you made it hard to fake it. Yeah, you broke down at my knees and I thought it won't escape me. No, no, no. I'm scared